Hello, my name is Darren Byler. I'm an anthropologist at the University of Colorado at Boulder, and today I'm testifying for a young man named Bagdat. He's a Kazakh man that's been detained and given a long prison sentence. His family members have been able to get a petition that he wrote out of Xinjiang to Kazakhstan. And so when I was in Kazakhstan in January, his relatives gave me this petition. So I'm going to read to you what this petition says. So the title is Petition to the High Court of the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region. I, petitioner Bagdat Akin Uli, was born on March 1st, 1992. I am of Kazakh ethnicity. I have a high school degree. I am unemployed, and I live in Koktagai County in Shukarti Township, Kashuan, number 2 group, number 89 courtyard. I was a student in Al-Azhar University in Cairo, Egypt, before being arrested. On August 25th, 2017, I was formally detained at Koktagai County National Public Security Agency under the suspicion of joining a terrorist organization. And I was formally arrested on August 31, 2017. On November 13, 2018, there was a closed trial in Altai District People's Middle Court where I was sentenced to 14 years and deprived of my political rights for 5 years. I'm not satisfied with this verdict and am sending my petition to the Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region's People's High Court and to the Ili Kazakh Autonomous Prefecture's branch. The Ili Prefecture Court organized a consultation trial and discussed it and rejected my petition, reinstating the original verdict. The reason I am sending this petition is because I am not satisfied with either of these two verdicts. Here are the reasons he gives for why he's unsatisfied. He said, I went to Al-Azhar University in Cairo, Egypt on April 17, 2012, and I studied at Al-Azhar University until I was arrested on May 20, 2017. This can be proven by the statement of the Education Office of the Embassy of the People's Republic of China in Cairo. I did not join any terrorist organization when I was in Egypt. On May 20, 2017, I was arrested by policemen from the Koktagai County Public Security Bureau, and they forced a confession from me, making me falsely admit that I joined a terrorist organization by using various illegal torture tactics, such as beating, hitting, and confession by inducement during my interrogation. I am not guilty. The police illegally detained me to interrogate and force me to make a false confession by using torture. The police took me into interrogation when I arrived in China on May 20, 2017, saying that they wanted to ask me some questions. During interrogation, they tied both of my hands and legs and deprived me of sleep. They beat me using various sticks, sharp wooden objects, electric wire, and electric batons. They tortured me by beating me very harshly. I was tortured like this in the interrogation center with both of my hands and legs tied, without sleep, from May 20, 2017 to June 9, 2017. During the interrogation, they took me to Koktagai County's jail. On June 9, 2017, during that time, there were traces of the sticks and bruises from the beatings all over my body. My hands and feet were swollen. The wounds caused by the electric burns were gaping. The service member on duty the day that I was admitted and the doctor in charge clearly saw this in the detention center during the interrogation. Also, the other detainees who were detained at the same time saw this clearly. If someone wants to contact them and ask these relevant people what had happened, they would get a very clear answer. I still have the scars caused by the electric baton on my body. All of this is proof that I have been tortured. However, the Koktagai County Detention Center statement indicated that on August 25th, 2017, when the Koktay County's detention center only checked when they checked me when I was detained there, they made a statement that there was no wounds on my body. And he goes on to say that it was because um, some of the wounds had healed over the 2 months before he was officially detained. He was actually detained for several months before he was entered into the record. There were harassment, threats, and forced confession by inducement during my interrogation. The policemen threatened me by saying that they would beat and torture my wife and my parents and my younger sister if I didn't confess. They said that they would bring them there and beat them in front of my eyes. During that time, I heard my wife crying and screaming because of the harsh torture. They told me uh, that now is a hard strike campaign period of time, so no one will say anything if we beat you to death right now. They threaten me by saying that that you won't walk out of the door on your own if you don't confess. Also, they said that you are a terrorist and participated in war during the interrogation. During the interrogation, they said this. They started to say you've had different forms of terrorist training and you passed these hard tests. After they trained you well and they assigned you to missions. This is how they guided me in how to falsely admit to the charges that they wanted me to admit to. After I got arrested on August 25th, 2017, during the initial interrogation, they threatened me and forced me to confess. Then, before it started, the police told me, "We are going to take you to sentencing. Before that, there will be a summary trial. If you cooperate well with us, we will let your father and younger sister go. But we will not let your wife go for now. So keep in mind how you will get your wife out of this. If you don't cooperate with us, your wife will be in it with you." He means in the prison with you. Therefore, having no way out of the prison at the sentencing and questioning, from the beginning to the end, I repeated what the police had told me to say. When they asked me about identifying certain locations for incidents they claimed occurred, I made up different locations. Even though the responses when I asked where the school I studied was and where I lived were true, others, like the location of the East Turkestan Terrorist Organization's main office, the place where I supposedly joined, all of this was made up. There were absolutely no such places. Those are not places that I went to. However, there is a computer training center in Egypt. It is a place where people from Xinjiang have opened as a learning center. I saw this from an online advertisement. I saw the address on the online ad. I learned from that ad that it was a computer learning center, but I'm not absolutely sure what kind of place it was. After being tortured during my interrogation, I had no choice but to make up those addresses as they asked me to do. There was no evidence that I joined a terrorist organization. I was forced to admit that I studied with 15 Uyghur guys at the terrorist training center. In reality, it was people that I knew from while I was studying at the university. I gave the names of those people that I knew in order not to confuse myself. Each time I gave the police a name, they would ask me for a description on what that person looked like. If I got confused, they would beat me up. Therefore, I made up a lot of people. If it was true that I joined an organization, maybe one other person would have been arrested and confessed that I had been in the organization. But there's absolutely no such person. It's all made up. There's no evidence. I did not join this organization. I do not have any connection with this organization. Mehmet Ali was my classmate at Al-Azhar University when I studied there. The reason that I knew that his family and child went to Turkey in early April 2017 was that my brother-in-law and I had heard from Mehmet Ali that he was selling things from his rented apartment. We bought an air conditioner from him. So to do this, we went to his house at that time. The reason we knew that he was moving and was selling his things was because he had posted a message on WhatsApp in a WhatsApp group that he was going to sell these things. Otherwise, we had no direct contact or acquaintance with him. I heard those things from him when we bought the air conditioner that he was going to Turkey. That's the only reason I knew that he was leaving. During the interrogation, I falsely admitted that he was the person who introduced me to join the organization. And while confessing, I said that I have his phone number in my phone. But this is actually a false statement. These things, the advertisement and the phone number, could not be found on my phone. I told them that I only had his WhatsApp number through this group, and that they could contact him through that. Um, in effect, there is no actual communication between us. While I was studying at Al-Azhar University, I took a special class about how the terrorist organizations were organized and how they recruited people. I had a deep and thorough understanding of how harmful they were to society. I had a comprehensive understanding of the people in the terrorist movement and their ideology, and I never liked them. I told the police about this. The police told me, "How do you know all this? Unless you have been among them, you are one of them. Otherwise, how do you know all of this?" And then they beat me. At night, they tortured and beat me and forced me to confess to all of this. After making sure that all the stories matched from the beginning to the end and were consistent, then during the day they forced me to repeat what they had confessed the previous night, and they wrote it down. Then they made me press my thumb as a print on the paper and sign it. I took religious lessons before and after I went to Egypt. It is true that I studied religion. My relatives have testimony about this. However, my main goal was to study the Arabic language and using that skill to do business in Arabic-speaking countries. I've never preached religion to anyone. I never held different viewpoints toward the party's policies and the law. I have never interacted with any terrorist organization and enemies of the state. I have correct positions towards terrorists. I fully understand their destructiveness to society and people. I have a firm stand. I am firmly against them. I have learned a lot of legal knowledge during the 2 years while I was detained. Through various training and study sessions, I have thoroughly appreciated the party's favorable policies, and the party is providing us with so many beneficial conditions, our current lives, a secure environment, all because of our party. I wish the higher court would review my petition again, make a fair judgment, distinguish between black and white, find out the truth, and make a just decision for my case. I trust that our country's legal system is just. I believe it will not punish innocent people. Sincerely, the petitioner, Bagdat Akin, July 7, 2019. Since this time, as of January 2020, Bagdat's family members have not heard from him or heard any decision in his case. And it appears as though he is still in jail serving this long sentence based on these charges.